Hi, so you've made the decision to find out more about starting your own business. Well, that's brilliant. And I think we can help you to be a successful business owner. Now, one of the questions I get asked a lot is, what's your process for starting a business? Now, I am by no means an economics genius or a marketing guru, but I do know the fundamental building blocks of starting a business after 40 years of being in business. And I'm going to give you 10 tips in this video to do just that. And these tips are all contained in the online course called Monetize Your Service Skills. But the most important of these tips is to develop a strategy and a plan. So before we go any further, first let me answer this question. Why is it important to have a strategy and a plan? And is it even necessary, or can I just wing it? Because I'm a solo operator. Well, I'm going to let the statistics answer that. 87% of business failures are caused by a lack of strategy and or a plan. That's nearly 9 out of 10 of all businesses which fail. Now look, some people do get by without a plan because they know all the elements of their business model and they know their market like the back of their hand. And and maybe they've run businesses before. But if you're new to this space or you've only been running your business for a short time, why would you assume, it's not going to happen to me? That's kind of like driving across the desert on a 1,000-mile trip with enough gas to get you 900 miles and hoping you're going to find a couple of shortcuts. Now look, to be honest, I've done it both ways. And here's what happened. Without a strategy and a plan, I wandered around like a lost soul, taking 3 times longer to get anything done. I didn't do things in the right order, and I certainly didn't do things at the right time. So I ended up doing a lot of rework and wasting an awful lot of time and money. It's easy to see how not having a strategy and a plan can actually destroy you and your business. In fact, because you have to do so much of the running around yourself if you're a small business or a solo operator, it's possibly even more important to have a strategy and a plan when there's just you. But still, people persist in driving out into that desert with not enough gas. Just make sure you're not one of them. So that's why creating a strategy and a plan is so important. But of course, it's only one of the key areas that you need to know about how to build your successful business. Think of Monetize Your Service Skills as a roadmap with various points of interest marked along the way. It's kind of a map within a map actually, because not only does it show you how to do things, it also shows you the order in which to do them. So there's no rework, no wasted time, and there's no frustration. Okay, so turning now to the course itself. I said before I'd give you 10 tips on how to set up a successful business. So here's tip number 1. Have a strong reason for setting up your business. And I'm going to talk about this in 2 parts. The first is your own motivation. And people either have an away from strategy or a toward reason for setting up a business. Away from gets them away from a bad place, but it doesn't actually provide enough motivation to keep on going once they're out of that bad place. It's kind of like looking backwards over your shoulder. A toward strategy, on the other hand, is much more powerful because it'll keep you motivated much longer and you can see where you want to get to and what getting there will actually do for you. The second part of this is about what your business will actually do. Now, you need to spend a lot of time on exactly what your business is going to provide your clients, where you're going to find them, and who your competition is. In other words, you need to do a lot of research to make sure you're on target. Tip number 2, we've already talked about, which is to have a clear strategy and plan. Now, I won't bore you with going through it all again, but although I probably should because it's so freaking important. Tip number 3, build your brand. What makes you special? How will you stand out in the crowd? Why should somebody buy your services and not from the next banjo player down the road? The answer, my friend, quite simply, is in your brand. And this is another question I get asked a lot, whether a small business actually needs a brand. Well, you could ask Alison Harkin in Scotland that question. Since she developed her personal brand, she's doubled her pricing, and she's a graphics designer, and she's now looking at outsourcing to keep up with all of the work that keeps pouring in because she's got such a powerful personal brand. Tip 4 is to make sure that you are going social. So if you're going to build a business, you're going to need clients. And before you even think about selling anything, you're going to need to have a base of prospects to approach and getting them interested in what you do and who you are. And you won't get them by sitting around and waiting for them to come, because you know what? They won't. And this is where the marketing funnel comes into play. And you need to understand the marketing funnel very, very well. And we do go into a lot of detail about the marketing funnel in the course. Now, this is another area where people have lots of questions like, do I need to use Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn? And the simple answer is yes, yes, and yes, and a lot more channels besides. So we do go into a lot of detail, as I said, about those channels and how to get the best out of them to move your prospective clients down that marketing funnel from not knowing who you are to being so pleased with who you look like and how trustworthy you are that they want to buy from you. Now, all of that comes as part of the package when you do the online course. Tip number 5 is to advertise yourself constantly with variety and using both paid and organic methods. Now, we go into a lot of detail about this in the course. And what we want you to remember is that you need to be thinking about 5 things when you are advertising. The first is the outcome. What is it that you want to achieve? The second is the audience that you want to reach. The third is the message that you want them to receive. The fourth is to select the right tools to carry that message. And the fifth thing to be thinking about is the best channels to achieve that outcome. It kind of sounds like another plan, doesn't it? You know, there's a lot of plans in business, well, good ones anyway. You can waste a huge amount of money on advertising the wrong things to the wrong people in the wrong way, and billions of dollars have been spent on that. Years ago, the chairman of Ogilvy and Mather, the world's largest ad agency, said, "Customers will always buy products, and in this case services, whose advertising promises them value for money, relief from pain, and a better tomorrow." And that still is true today. If your service does any one of these things for your clients, or even several of these things, you are on a winner. But if it doesn't, you better go right back to tip number 1 and have a really good hard think about why you're in business and what it is that you're trying to do for your customers. Tip number 6 is price with pride. I get asked all the time by people setting up their businesses, how do I find out what I should charge for my services? Should I start low, or should I do stuff for free until I get known? And my answer to them is yeah, only if you never want to build a successful business. Look, you have to have pride in what you do. You know it has value, and that not just anyone can do what you can do. At the same time, there are many different ways to price your services. And once again, we go into a lot of detail in the course about that so that you can choose the right ones for you depending on your circumstances at any given time. You see, one size does not fit all. You are in business to make a healthy, sustainable profit. And you can only do that by pricing your services appropriately. And most importantly, because you've got to sleep at night, be proud. Tip number 7 is get the cash. Now, this starts with writing a brilliant proposal which lights up your client's imagination about what a great result you're going to create for them. And this is where attention to detail and using the right admin forms and processes comes in to follow up after that wonderful proposal. So weirdly, I get asked all of the time, why do you keep telling me that I have to do so much admin? I left my shite job to get away from boring admin. Well, if that's what you're thinking, I have bad news. Business is a set of documented steps, agreements, expectations, deliverables, and sometimes disagreements. Notice I use the word documented, okay? If you don't like documentation, get out of business now, or even earlier, because you're going to need a whole series of documents to run your business and to protect yourself. So here's a short list after we've talked about that perfect proposal, which we also go into during the course. Here's the list: proposal, quote, purchase order, invoice, delivery note, receipt. And you know, that's just on the money side. You're also going to need things like an NDA, term sheets, extremely good financial records, tax records. The list goes on and on. The best business characteristic is not just creativity, it's a combination of creativity and the ability to be and stay organized every single day. And that's where all of that admin comes in to help you with having a very, very strong foundation. And then of course there's the little matter of being paid by people who owe you money. And it's a sad fact, but true, that some people don't pay on time. Not you, I'm sure, not you guys, but you know, the others. But that does cause great stress and worry. So we've devised a cunning process for enabling you to get what you're owed. And the best part is that it works. And it's also in the course. Tip number 8 is keeping the books. As I mentioned earlier, you must keep good records. And to do that, you must understand the language of business. So you'll need to have a good understanding of bookkeeping so that you can keep accurate records, and accounting so that you can see what's actually happening to your business in financial terms. Okay, I'll just make that point again. Bookkeeping is about keeping the accurate records, and accounting is about finding out exactly what's going on inside your business in financial terms. And this is another big question that people ask me all the time. Why can't I just give all of this crap to an accountant? Why should I do any of it? I'm not interested, and I hate numbers anyway. Well, the simple answer is that numbers are the language of business. If you're serious about being in business, you need to understand the language. So, you should be able to describe a balance sheet and what it does, a profit and loss statement, the difference between gross revenue and net revenue, and quite a few more technical items. And most importantly, you really need to understand the concept of cash flow. This is the second biggest reason for business failure after lack of strategy and planning, because cash flow is the lifeblood of your business and you ignore it at your peril. Luckily, we go into a lot of detail in the course that will give you the answers to all of those questions that I've just posed to you and all those technical terms that I've just given you. Okay, moving along. Tip number 9 is successful outsourcing to build your business. What? Me outsourcing? I'm a sole operator. You know, I get this question all the time as well, and I get the same shocked expressions. Why would I want to outsource? Nobody can do my job as well as me, and I don't want to manage people, so why should I outsource? Well, there's a lot of reasons actually, but here's 3. The first one is, by handing off admin work you personally don't need to do, you can spend more time on revenue generation and looking after your best clients. Here's number 2. You can take on more work and increase your top line by involving experts who contribute their piece of the puzzle for the overall customer's requirement. And number 3, you can charge a margin on what you pay them. That's 3 pretty good reasons to be thinking about outsourcing, I would have thought. But, you know, to be honest, outsourcing can be difficult to control unless it's done properly. With 35 years of HR experience, I've got a fairly good idea about what's needed to do this properly, and that's all contained in the course for you so that you'll be able to outsource with confidence and generate additional revenue for yourself. Now finally, tip number 10 is be tech savvy. You need to make sure you've got a great online presence through your website and through the other media channels you use. And please don't go cheap here. It will bite you in the bum big time. That's a technical term, but it's absolutely true. A poorly performing website, which takes ages to load or is clunky, will just simply drive your clients away. Okay, it's the absolute minimum to stay in the game. Your website, even if it's just you, needs to be as professional as anything that anybody would see from a $100 million company. So you're going to need to learn how to brief a web developer. That's the most important thing, so that you get exactly what you need, and we will show you how to do that. So if you're ready to turn your skills into a real profitable business, then this is the course that will teach you all the things that you have to know. We're taking you through the step-by-step process of planning, executing, and eventually scaling your own service business. In this course, you will learn about the strategies, the tools, and the processes that many successful freelancers and business owners are using right now, and how you can apply them to run your own business. So whether you're still in a job or you're ready to go all in, you'll finish this course knowing the right steps to take in order to get your business running, and most importantly, the right sequence in which to take those steps. This course has more than 50 videos. It has a fabulous workbook and lots of templates that you can adapt right away. So join us and a community of like-minded business enthusiasts ready to make things happen.